Welcome to the second lab demo, how we can create programs. Remember we said that we can talk to Python either in an interactive way using the repo, or we can type our programs in a text file, save them with an extension py, and execute them as a script. So let's open again our online coding environment and let's see that in action. So I will create a new file. I will save my file as first.py and I will type the print hello world command. I will save the file and execute my file, Python, and the name of the file, first.py. And I see my program has been executed and the output is redirected to my terminal. Python provides a built-in function called input that displays a message and gets input from the keyboard. When this function is called, the program stops and waits for the user to type something. When the user presses enter or return, the program resumes and the input returns whatever the user typed as a string. So let's modify our program and ask the user about their name. And we will store the result, the answer, in a variable called name. And then we're going to print a welcome message. Concatenate whatever the user typed in the variable name. I'm going to save my program and execute it once more. So we see now that Python stops and waits for us to type our name and welcomes us. So now we'll ask the user a second question to give me their last name and print the first name and the last name together. So if I print name and next to it the last name, and I execute the program, oh, a syntax error. What's wrong with my program? I forgot to close the parentheses of the input function. So let's run my program again. My output is exactly what I told Python to display. Put together the first name and the last name, so there is no space in between. How can I format this output? How can I fix it? What is missing actually is an empty space between the first name and the last name. And now that I fixed my program, when I type my first name and my last name and I see the output contains the desired space in between. Now, what if I ask the user to give me a balance, an amount? The user will type something and the user thinks that whatever they typed, it's a number, but actually the input function will return back a string. So the balance, if I print what is the type of the balance variable, so if I ask Python what is the type of the balance variable, Python would tell me that this is a string. And my account balance, I typed and it says string. I said, no, I typed a number. What we need to do, if we need to handle this input as an integer or as a float, is to do typecasting to convert it. So how can I convert user input to either an integer or a float? I can surround my input command around the float function. So this will convert whatever the user will type to a float. I will test my program again. And now it correctly says that my balance is a float. There are more things that I can do with my output. I can format my output, but how can I format my output? If I print, for example, the name and a space and the last name, and I want to type the word balance, and after the word balance I want to type the contents of the variable that is called balance. But how does Python know that this balance is a string that I want to display and this balance is the variable that contains a value? Whatever I enclose in double quotes or in single quotes, Python will handle them as strings to be displayed exactly as is. Whenever I use words which are not inside quotes, Python will treat them as variables and will try to locate some contents in the memory. So I will execute my code once more, and oops, an error message again. This is a type error, and Python says that it cannot concatenate a string with a float, because my balance is a float. So now I have to do typecasting again. I have to temporarily convert my balance to a string so that it can be concatenated and displayed along with the rest of the strings that I have. So I'm gonna run my program again, and now my program works fine. A last thing about formatting my output is to use the printf function. The printf function will use curly brackets, and inside these curly brackets I can use names of my variables and I can combine them with any other text that I want to be displayed. And for example, the word balance. Remember, we are inside double quotes, which means everything is treated as text except the words that I put inside curly brackets that are treated as variables. So now I'm telling Python to format print whatever I type there as one single string with no concatenations, but it's going to replace whatever exists inside the curly brackets with the values of these variables. So last run, and this is my output. The final formatting that I will do, I will ask Python to use 10 spaces to display the first name, to use 10 spaces to display the last name, and for the balance I want to use only 2 decimal points. So it's a floating point number, and I'm wishing to display only 2 of the decimals of the balance. Last run. So now I see that my name takes up 10 spaces, my last name 20, and my balance is formatted using 2 decimal points. It's a good idea, while we type our code and as our programs will get bigger and bigger, to add notes to the programs to explain in natural language what our program is doing. These notes are called comments in Python. They start with a hash symbol. Everything from the hash symbol to the end of the line is ignored, and it has no effect in our program. So I will enhance my program and add some comments, like what I'm doing here. I'm asking the user to type their name. I'm printing a welcome message. Here I ask the user to type their last name, read the balance, find the data type of the balance, and here I am printing the message in a formatted order. Python has a number of built-in functions. We have already used many of them. We have used print, we have used input, we have used type, str, int, float, bool. What is a function though? A function is a block of code which runs only when it is called. You can pass data to your function, and these data are called parameters or arguments. and a function might return data back to you. Here is a list of the built-in functions in Python, and we will discuss some of them. We will see the len function that returns the length of an object, the sum, the min, and the max, that they do the obvious, and the round function that rounds a number. So let's create a new program. Let's close first.py, create a new file, call it second.py, and let's see how we can use some of the built-in functions. I will try to locate the maximum of these numbers that are in a list and print it. Execute my code, and the largest number is 10. Now, if in the list I didn't have numbers but I had strings or words, it would find the last word in an alphabetical order. So I will rerun my code, and zoom is the last word in alphabetical order. Now, what if I didn't provide a list of words, but I typed a string? So the max now will find the largest character in alphabetical order in the string that I gave to Python. And the largest letter is W. Now we'll see the len function, how I can count how many letters a variable has. So I have this variable that called name that has the contents the word Smith, and if I ask what is the length of the name, my letters variable will keep the number of letters in the variable name. And then my output will be formatted, so I will see that Smith has 5 letters. Finally, I will see how can I round the number and display a formatted output. And by executing my code, I see that x was 565.43, and the rounded x, which is assigned in y, is 6. And this concludes our second lab lecture.